Okay, and so I'm going to show you how to do that. And then you'll be able to do it yourself whenever you need to. You can do it sitting up, you can do it standing up, you can do it lying down, you can do it wherever you are. In many cases, no one needs to know that you're doing it because it's so subtle. It can be very subtle. So Hanna Somatics works with helping you take control of muscles that for some reason have gotten out of your control. Maybe you've been doing repetitive use. Let's say you're vacuuming, or you're lifting things, or you're carrying things. And those muscles get contracted to help balance what you're doing, and then they just keep being contracted. So Thomas Hanna talked about something he calls sensory motor amnesia. And that is where muscles are out of your control. They're being contracted for you. They contract night and day. And if you fell down one day, muscles contract at the time you fall, and they keep on contracting unless they are changed. And you could have had a fall or a car, even a minor car accident years before, and those muscles are still being recontracted over and over again. So we are going to change levels of brain control to the top of your head. So if you wanted to reach up and feel the top of your head, right above your ears are two strips of cortex. Cortex is the outer covering of your brain. And the one in front controls your movements. And the one in back of something called the central sulcus receives the sensory feedback from your body and what you've been doing. So we are very easily going to change levels of brain control. That part of the brain is the only part of your motor system that can relax the muscles. So what relaxes the muscles, it's kind of backwards, is you stopping contracting them. That's what relaxes them. You stop sending information down to contract them. So as we change to your motor cortex, it can then voluntarily contract a muscle group and then voluntarily decontract it about 3 times, and it will reset the resting level of your muscles. So let's just start with your arm. Above your elbow is a muscle called the biceps. Many of you do know your anatomy and muscles, and some of you don't. So I'm going to speak kind of in general terms. Now palpate with flat fingers, not the tips of your fingers. Palpate your bicep muscle, the front of your arm above the elbow. And what does it feel like? Is it firm? Is it comfortable? What is it doing? So any of you have discomfort in that muscle right now? No? Good. Is it firm though to the touch? As you touch it, it's below your shoulder, before your elbow, and it's kind of on the side here. So just check what it is right now. Bring your palm of your hand towards your shoulder. Put your hand on the inside of your wrist. Push your hand towards your shoulder and resist yourself. And now slowly come back down. Your left hand is not going to push your arm down. It's just going for the ride. Now bring your hand up towards your shoulder again, and then slowly coming back down. And yes, you can do both arms at the same time. Bring your hand up and slowly coming down, and relax your arm. And then palpate your bicep again and see what you find. Just kind of press it and see what it feels like relative to what it felt like before you did that. So a little softer, a little, yeah. So a muscle that's being held contracted doesn't get the circulation it needs, doesn't get the same blood flow because the muscles press on the blood vessels. And so there isn't as much blood flow. There's enough for you to stay alive, but not enough for a full function of the muscle. Your muscle is not getting the oxygen, the fluids, the nutrients. It doesn't get rid of its byproducts of function. So it sort of stores, sometimes we talk about that as toxic waste. It stores things and it can become painful. It can press on nerves running through your arm. And the pain will be directed somewhere else. So you want to keep your muscles at good tonicity all over your body. So we're playing with our arm here because we're going to do the same thing with your back muscles. So if you stood up in front of a mirror, you could see what kind of posture you were in. So Thomas Hanna and also Ramesh learned how to assess postures. And a person who's very much bent forward, he called the red light posture. A person who has a very arched back, he called the green light posture. And Ramesh, you can demonstrate that for us. Show us the red light posture. He has on a nice red shirt for that. Okay, best, yeah. Okay, turn to the side so we can see you from the side. So they're kind of bent forward here. And that causes a lot of strain on your back because your back muscles, especially your lower back, are trying to hold you up. And your torso is pretty heavy. And so they get tighter and tighter. And the more you bend forward, the more they get pulled, the more they tighten up. It's when muscles are pulled, it triggers a stretch reflex and they recontract. So a person standing like that all the time is going to have a tight back and a back that may be uncomfortable. And so tight muscles pull on their attachments because they attach to bones. And the attachments, there's inflammation. If there's a nerve running through the area, they may compress the nerve or entrap it or even pull it. Sometimes they're getting pulled by the contraction. And so there are also pain receptors called free nerve endings that are all over your body. And when the tissue is damaged in some way or pressed on or whatever, displaced, those little free nerve endings will give you a pain experience. There's a substance that's produced by those little nerve endings, and it's called substance P, which I think is a really handy name to give it since it creates pain. And there are also trigger points. I don't know if you all have ever heard of trigger points, but those are areas in a muscle that there's a misfiring of there are different theories about what causes it. But one of those is that the motor end plate where the nerve attaches to the muscle is misfiring. And so another theory is that the little neuromuscular spindles that are in all your muscles are misfiring. So it creates a little area, and then that spreads, and then there's some taut fibers and the trigger points, which you can have in all kinds of parts of your body, transfer their pain to other related areas. And that happens when we're the muscle has gotten pulled in some way, or it's being held in a position because of your posture, or repetitive use or something will help create trigger points. There are approaches to getting rid of those areas or resolving them, but Hanna Somatics is a really good way of helping normalize the muscle. so it doesn't have those trigger points. Okay, so we're going to work with all the various muscles. So red light posture is creating back issues. Do any of you recognize yourself as being coming forward just a little bit? We're getting a lot of that from working at the computer, and children are getting it from having to carry their backpacks when they are in school. And in various ways, we're getting into more red light postures. The green light posture, which is an arched back, would you show us that, Ramesh? And that is an arched back. So it's very curved, and sometimes the person's head is coming forward because they're counterbalancing that. And with that, the back muscles are just very contracted. And by brainstem level motor tracks. Thank you, Ramesh. And kind of shake it out here so you don't keep it with you. And then we have one more, which he called the trauma posture. So would you show them the trauma posture? Some of you already seen this before. And so trauma, okay, better to see it from the front, Ramesh. So the person is tilted to the side, one shoulder is lower than the other shoulder, and their heads are either coming toward that side or going to the other way. So we have a C curve, which is head and body curving, and we have an S curve, which is body curving and your head's going back the other way to counterbalance it. And those all create pains somewhere because of the position. And then there's one more that I'm not going to ask Ramesh to demonstrate. He called it the senile posture, which used to mean over 65 because so many people were very contracted over 65. And it is a combination of red light and green light and trauma and everything. Everything is contracting, everything is co-contracting. So all of that can change, and we're going to work with particularly the back muscles now. We're going to do a little bit of all kinds of things because you or someone you know may have back issues. So let me ask a question. How many of you have back issues? Raise your hand if you have back issues. So of what I can see, you can still raise your hand even if your video is not on. You click on reactions and click on the raise hand place, so we can get all kinds of raised hands here. Thank you. Can you tell me, is your back pain below your waist or above your waist? Raise your hand, or belt line. Nowadays, we don't know where our waist is. Okay, below. How many of you have back comforts higher up, sort of more in the lumbar area? And so if you put your hand up before and you need to take it down, you can go down to the reactions thing again and click on lower hand, and that will take your hand down because you may not still want to say anything. Okay. Okay. So Rama, is your hand still up?
No, I did not put my hand up.
Pardon?
My hand is not up.
No, I'm speaking to Rama.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Ramani. Yeah.
Her hand is still up.
Okay.
But I don't know if she meant to keep it up or not. Okay. So let us begin. We're going to sort of aim at this from all kinds of different angles. So first of all, lie down on your back and bend your knees. And we're going to start with the cat stretch exercises and then move to ones more specifically for your back. The cat stretch exercises are really good for your back. They're absolutely incredibly fine. And the cat exercises are done in the morning when you get up and or in the evening before you go to sleep. It's good to do them before you go to sleep. Doing them in the morning gets you ready for the day. Doing them in the evening helps you reset the muscles you use during the day so your brain will not play them all night, because it will. Your brain will keep on contracting and recontracting your muscles if you had a very active day, and it will do it all night. So you might wake up feeling tired because you've actually been working all night. Okay, so we're going to, you can do these sitting up. You don't have to do them lying down, but Ramesh is showing you the version of lying down with your knees bent. So as you're lying down, inhale and arch your back, picking your back up off the floor. Exhale, let your back come back down to the floor. If you're sitting in a chair, you're going to bring your belly forward and then let your body go back toward the back of the chair. So we'll do this 5 times slowly. Inhale and arch your back. Exhale, coming back toward the back of the chair. So as you're coming forward, you're using your motor cortex to contract the muscles of your back, and then you're decontracting them using that same part of your brain. And if you could palpate those back muscles, like we did with your bicep, you would feel them get harder and then get softer as you went down toward the floor. Yeah. And if you are, even if you're sitting up, you can reach around and feel them. As you come forward, you can feel them tighten. And as you come back, you can feel them let go. If you're lying on the floor, you can slip your hand in under your back and feel them contract. And good. And then slowly let them go. And you are resetting the resting level. And I suggest that you pause for a few seconds and feel the effects of your movements. Feel the sensations, feel the muscles of your back with your mind. So just to say, the somatic exercises need to be done slowly. They need to be done with awareness. You need to do them with your mind on it, because if your mind is on something else, you will do it like a robot. You will go into automatic pilot, and that won't change the resting level of your muscles. Okay, so let's do the next one. Lace your fingers together and put them behind your head. And we're going to do the same move you just did. Inhale and arch your back. Exhale, let your head and your shoulders come forward. Your abdomen is going to contract a little bit, and then you're slowly going to come back. Exhale, coming forward, and slowly coming back. Exhale, coming forward, and slowly coming back. So we'll do that 5 times slowly, and then relax. Put your arms down by your side and feel the sensations you have created with your movements. And those are going up your spine to the sensory cortex and letting you know what your body has been doing. And as you went in each of those directions, you contracted those muscles and then you decontracted them, which took them to a new level, new basic level of contraction. Okay, now, if you're lying on the floor, please slowly roll over onto your stomach. And if there's any of these movements you feel you should not do, and that you can't do, please do your version or do the best you can, or visualize it. Or watch somebody on the screen, like watch Ramesh do it. So your right arm is bent, your left cheek is on the back of your hand, and your other leg is ready to work. Now, if you are sitting in a chair, you're going to do the same thing. Put your hand up, bend your right elbow, put your left cheek on the back of your right hand. Your left leg is on the floor, and you're going to lean back and push with your left leg against the floor, and then slowly come forward. So when you're ready, inhale. If you're on the floor, pick your hand, your head, and your elbow up. Pick your opposite leg up, and then slowly come back down to the floor. And so you have contracted all of your paravertebral muscles of your back, and then you have decontracted them coming down. If you are lying on your back, you can do the same thing, but press into the bed instead of lifting up. So if you're lying on your back, which you may need to, you've got your right arm is bent, your left cheek is being touched with your right hand, and you're going to press your shoulder into the bed, press your opposite leg into the bed, and then slowly come out of it. Okay, so we're going to do that 3 times with your right arm bent. And then when you're ready, picking your left shoulder up so you can look to the left. And you're going to inhale, pick your hand, your head, and your elbow up, and slowly coming down. We'll do that just 3 times. Go only as far as you can go easily, not any farther. We don't need to go any farther. And you may stretch some muscle somewhere, trigger the stretch reflex, and it recontracts. So we want to reset the muscle without causing it to contract again. So after you've done it 3 times slowly, then pause and feel the sensations you created doing the movement. You can even do it standing up. It's not as easy standing up, but you can if you need to. Let's say you're waiting in line somewhere and you're feeling your back getting tighter. You might want to do this. You need to hold on with your opposite hand while you do it. Okay, these are not like yoga asanas because you're not going to hold the position. You're just moving and then moving out of it. And you're doing it gently, you're doing it with awareness, and you're not doing it lots of repetitions. You're getting your brain to reset the muscles. Okay, slowly roll over. Okay, so is it Reka is saying something about show demo. Ramesh is doing it. So Ramesh is showing the demo. Anybody who wants to watch it or see it demonstrated.
They can pin my video if they want
Right.
for a better vision.
Right. Okay, so to pin your video, so Ramesh is really big on the screen. There's a blue square up on the right-hand corner. Click on it. It will say pin. Go down to pin, click on it, and he becomes the big focus here, and you can see him doing it. You want to do that one again? Yeah. And you might, take your glasses off. Okay, his right arm is bent, his head is turned to the right, and he can now pick his hand, head, and elbow up, and opposite leg, and then slowly coming down. And as he came up, he contracted all of his back muscles, and then to come down, he's decreasing the output to them so they can lengthen. That's the way he's coming down. If he didn't do that, he wouldn't come down. If you've ever seen people who've had brain injury, if they go into a position, they can't come down because, or out of it, because their cortex is not able to decrease the contraction. Thank you very much. So please roll over on your back now. And Ramesh is going to show you the next exercise, which needs to always follow that one. So if you haven't pinned him, pin him so you can see a big version of Ramesh doing this exercise. So he's lying there, his knees are bent. He's going to put his right hand behind his head. And he's going to bring his elbow toward his opposite knee as he picks his opposite knee up. And then he's slowly going down. So he's using his abdominal muscles to decrease the output to the muscles in back. So we have something called reciprocal inhibition, which if a muscle contracts, it inhibits the muscle on the other side so it can lengthen. So as he's contracting his abdominals, his back muscles are getting inhibited and lengthened. So in case they were still contracted from having done the last exercise, he is now turning that off. And he's going to do it 3 times to one side. I would suggest you do the same thing, and then 3 times to the other side. This exercise is really good to do if you've walked a long way, if you've carried things, like carried groceries into your house or carried things to a work site or whatever you did and your back was feeling a little tight. This is a great way to get those back muscles to lengthen and relax. So Rama, did you have something you wanted to ask or say or whatever?
No, I think my hand raise just comes up on its own. I'm not even aware of it. Sorry.
Okay.
Just ignore it. Sorry.
All right. If it comes up again, I'm just gonna think it's done on its own again. Okay. So those are 3 really, really, really special exercises. And so some people, and I think some of you were trying to say that, their backs hurt below the waist, below the belt line. Sometimes it's one side only, and sometimes it's both sides. And they say it's like a band going across their buttock area. And so the exercise that Ramesh is going to show you here now is a very good one for that. And even if you don't have that back issue, it really helps with lots of other things as well, including your breathing. So please lie down on your left side. And if you are doing it yourself, lie down on your left side and bend your knees, and your knees are going to be out in front of you like a chair, as if you were a chair lying on your side. Bring your right arm then over the top of your head towards your ear. And we'll start with the upper body. Inhale, pick your head up using the side of your body, and then slowly coming back down. So your arm is over your head like a halo. So your arm is bent, your hand is coming towards your other ear, and then you're going to come up and slowly coming down. If you want to put a hand on the side of your body, you can feel the muscles on the side contracting as you come up, and then slowly, these are the muscles on top toward the ceiling. So as he picks his head up, the muscles on this kind of lumbar area contract, and slowly as he comes down, they lengthen. That's the only way he's going to come down. If they didn't lengthen, he'd stay up in the air. So that's how you're coming out of it. It's that you are decreasing output to those muscles. So now rest your arm on your side, keeping your knees together. Pick your upper foot up toward the ceiling. And so you want to go straight up toward the ceiling, not back towards your buttock. So your leg is doing an inward rotation, and it uses the muscles, the gluteus medius, gluteus minimus, in the upper part of your buttock area to do that move. They are internal rotators of your leg. And so you're voluntarily contracting them and then voluntarily letting them lengthen. And that's the only way your foot's going to come back down again, is if you decrease the output to those muscles so they can lengthen and come slowly all the way down. So now let's put those two together, Ramesh. So arm over the top of your head. Now you're going to pick your head up, pick your foot up, leaving your knees together, and slowly coming back down. And repeat that 3 times. So you're inhaling, coming up, and exhale, coming down. Great, 3 times. And then roll over on the other side. And your arms over the top of your head. You can do it both together on this side, since you already know what you're going to do. So pick your head up and your foot up, leaving your knees together, and slowly coming back down. Keep your knees down. Keep your knee on the other. Imagine your knees are glued together. You're on your side. Lie on your side. And your right arm is under your head like a pillow. And your left arm is over the top of your head like a halo. If you're sitting in a chair, bring your arm over the top of your head. Tilt your head toward the side. Mesh is going to show you in the chair. Tilt toward, let's say the right, and pick the right hip up toward it and slowly come back down. So you're tilting toward the same side, Ramesh. You're tilting, right, tilt in that side, and now pick that hip up. No, just your hip. Just your hip. Pick it up off the chair. Great. And slowly come back toward the center. So it's just your hip that's coming off the chair. And you're shortening the muscles on the side of your body. Great, let's do the other one. So it's just 3 times. So tilting over toward the other side, pick that hip up. And coming back down. And yes, you can do it. Just sitting on the floor. You can do the same thing. Now, one of the benefits of this is you're also using a special muscle in the back that some people have a problem with. So if you are lying on the floor please extend your right leg down the floor. And your left leg is going to be bent. This muscle is called the Quadratus Lumborum. So you're lying on your back. Ramesh, lie on your back. Right. And extend your right leg down the floor. Okay. So now slide your hip up towards your armpit. Maybe it'd be better with you start with your other leg. So straighten your other leg and bend that one so we can see you. Now, your leg's going to be straight down from your body, and you're going to take your hip up towards your armpit. Yeah. And slowly let it go back down to where it came from. So now we're using the Quadratus Lumborum, and it is a muscle that goes from your pelvis up to the last rib. And then part of it goes over toward the spine. So in this position, we're using the muscle that goes up to your last rib and then slowly letting it go. And
Excuse
do
me?
that about 3 times. Yeah.
The leg that is moving is the leg that is bent?
No, it's the straight one.
The straight one. Okay, thank you.
The straight leg is, its hip is going to come up toward its armpit. Yeah. Sanai? Sanal?
Yes, when you talk about from pelvis up to the last rib, can you please explain what it means and where I'm not clear on that.
Okay, Ramesh, would you stand up and turn around for us so we can show you? So turn around so we can see you back from the back. Yeah. Okay. Point to where the top of your pelvis is. You know, it's sort of at the top of your buttock area. Can you kind of reach around and show us where it is? No, up above. No, it's at the top of your pelvis. You know, the crest of the ilium? So that it's the sort of bony part of your pelvis. Very good. Okay, so there's the crest of the ilium. Now this muscle goes from there up to his last rib. So you can point to where your last rib is. Show us with your hand where your last rib is. Kind of up, okay? All right, this muscle goes from the pelvis up to the last rib in the back. And part of it goes over toward the spine. So Ramesh, would you point to your spine? Okay, there's his spine. And if you remember where his hand was on the crest of the pelvis, there, it's now going over toward his spine. So the first move with the leg going up toward your armpit is using the vertical fibers of the Quadratus Lumborum. So you can lie down again. I think we have a picture. Thanks for asking for that. And that's you're going to shorten that muscle, which brings his pelvis up toward his rib. And now you're going to slide your leg out to the side a little bit. First of all, you had it straight down from your body. Now take it out to the side a little bit. Thank you, Ramesh. And slide your hip up towards your armpit. Great. And slowly coming down. So now you're using the part of that muscle that goes to the spine. And either one or both of those can be tight and they can be very uncomfortable. So be sure you do it on both sides. So change sides. And now we're coming up here. Oh, do it with your legs straight from your body first. Because I think it's going out to the side. Come straight from your body. Okay, is that your other leg now? Okay, now take your hip up towards your armpit and coming down. coming up. Many people have their pelvises at an angle because one side is tighter than the other. And that puts, there's something called the SI joint, the Sacroiliac Joint. And when the pelvis is at an angle, it puts a strain on that joint, which is made of ligaments. And it does not like that. It complains mightily. It refers pain all over the place. And when your pelvis is level again, you're comfortable. So take your leg out to the side, then that straight leg, take your hip up towards your armpit and slowly coming back down. 3 times only. Now, if you're sitting in a chair, that's for lying down. If you're sitting in a chair, and Ramesh can show us sitting in a chair.
Yeah, 1 minute. Can you show us from the right side, because left side was not visible to us.
Okay, turn around
I'm
so
sorry.
you can show
I'm
it
sorry.
from the other side. Okay, so let us see your left side. Great. Thank you. It's really valuable for you to ask for what you need. So bend your right leg, bend it, put it on the floor. Now take your left hip up towards your armpit. Great, and slowly coming down. That shirt shows that perfectly. Coming up and coming down. 3 times, and then slide your leg out to the side and take your hip up towards your armpit and coming down. Hip going up and coming down. It takes a little practice because sometimes we don't even know where that hip is or have never done that move. Some people have never done that move, but it's a very important one in walking. As you walk, one hip has to be picked up to make room for your leg coming through. Can you stand up, Ramesh, so we can show that? I'm so glad you're so flexible. Okay, so standing there, facing us. Take your left hip up towards your, put more of your weight on the right side and pick your left hip up. There you go, and let it come back down now. So weight goes on one side, the other side gets picked up and coming down. So let's do it on the other side. All your weight goes on the left, pick your right hip up and coming down. Now walk forward for us. Walk toward the camera. Now, if his hip didn't lift up on the side his leg is coming forward, there would be no room for his leg to come forward. And many people have that problem. So to walk, he would have to pick his legs up higher to get them. And some people walk that way. It takes a lot of energy to walk that way. The other thing he might do if he couldn't move his hips was swing his leg out to the side and bring it in front. And some people do that. They swing their leg out, like that to walk, because they can't lift their hips up. The other thing they sometimes do is tilt their whole body. So tilt from one side to the other, right, like that when they walk, because that's how they make room for their leg to come forward. So the best way to do it is to have your pelvis able to shift so that your leg can come in front easily in walking. And with that, your opposite shoulder goes back behind you and so forth. Very good, Ramesh. Very good. It doesn't have to go back a lot. It just goes back a little bit, because that's called a contralateral walk, and that's the way human beings walk. And they don't have to swing your arms that much, but you can. It's just more your shoulder moves. Anyway, that's for another session. Let's work with a muscle in your back that is very much an issue nowadays because we are spending so much time sitting. And this muscle is a hip flexor, and you can work with it lying down or sitting up. This is a muscle called the psoas, spelled Psoas. So why don't you start sitting up, Ramesh? And so, and then we'll also do the lying down version. So this muscle is a hip flexor. It flexes your hips so you can, it with a bunch of its friends, flexes your hips so you can sit down. It also does the first part of bringing your leg forward when you're walking. It's the first muscle that does that. Then other muscles kick in. But we're going to do the seated release of the psoas. So you might want to take your hands off your knees and just lift your right leg up a couple of inches and slowly coming back down. So that contracts the psoas on the right side. Pick it up and slowly coming down. Again, picking up. It comes from the lumbar vertebrae in front of your pelvis, attaches on the back inner part of your leg. And when it contracts, it picks your leg up a little bit. So you can change sides now. Pick up a couple of inches and coming down. Pick up and coming down. Great, just about 3 times. Some people have a hard time standing up when they have been sitting for a while. So if they've been sitting at the dinner table for a while, or they've been in a movie theater, or they've been sitting at their computer, they've been doing various things when they've been sitting, and the psoas can get very contracted. And so if you do this before you get up, you won't have any trouble getting up, and nobody needs to know you're doing it. It's done under the table. No one will see you, but do that several times. And then you're ready to stand up, because the reason why it's hard with a contracted psoas is the psoas wants to flex your hips. That's its job. So stand up, Ramesh. Then, so springs right up, no problem. Have any of you had any trouble standing up?
Yeah, may I ask
Yeah.
a question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, you were raising the leg up only 8 to 10 inches above the ground, right?
No, actually hopefully a couple of inches.
Couple of
2 or
inches,
3,
not
2 or
more.
3 inches, not more, because you want to get the psoas. If you go up higher, and you can show this, Ramesh, if you go up higher, you will use a muscle called the rectus femoris. Also, if you do it quickly, the rectus may take over right away. So if you go up higher, the rectus femoris is doing it. And it's good for it not to be too tight. But if we're targeting the psoas, when the psoas is tight, it presses on a nerve going through that area called the femoral nerve. And that compressed nerve will refer pain down to various places in your waist, down to adductors of your legs, muscles on the inside of your legs, muscles on the outside of your leg. And it will seem like it's a hip problem or a leg problem, various other problems, but it's sometimes the psoas doing it. It's deep, and it may not be obvious that the psoas is doing that. So let's do the lying down version, because it's really so fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's a wonderful thing that you can share with people. Some people will say, I have sciatic pain. Have you ever heard of sciatic pain? Have any of you ever had sciatic pain? Some people have had sciatica. And I'll say, well, show me where it is, and they'll run their hand down the side of their leg. That is not the sciatic nerve. That's more probably coming from the psoas. So we're going to do the lying down psoas release. So bend, let's say bend your right leg, bend your right knee. Okay, we're going to work with the left leg here, with it straight, with it turned out just a little bit. Pick your leg up a couple of inches off the floor and slowly come back down. The other thing the psoas does is bring the other side of your pelvis forward. As you can feel when you do this, you can feel the other side coming forward. And if it's stuck contracted, your pelvis will be rotated a little bit, which makes it harder to walk, gives you pain and discomfort in your back and elsewhere. Great. So just 3 times with one leg bent, the other one straight, pick it up a couple of inches and slowly coming back down. Doing that 3 times and coming down. And when you're ready, change legs. So now you're going to use your other leg, pick it up 2 or 3 inches and slowly coming down. Repeat that 3 times and coming down. Pick up and coming down. Great. Now let's talk about your sciatic nerve. Many people will say, I have a back pain. And you say, well, point to where it is. And they point to their buttocks, maybe kind of in the middle of their buttocks. And that is where the sciatic nerve leaves the sacrum and it exits under a muscle called the piriformis. So Ramesh, if you will roll over onto your side. Okay, he's rolling over onto his left side. And you can roll over on your left side. And you can rest your arm on your side, the upper arm, the right arm, because you want your hip to be free. So bend your knees a little higher, bring your knees toward your chest, back again being a chair lying on your side, keeping your feet together. Pick your upper knee up toward the ceiling and then slowly coming back down. Now what you're doing is you are shortening, contracting the muscles of your buttocks that do outward rotation of your leg. So take it up only as high as you can go. Don't go real high, because probably if you do that, you will be rotating your pelvis, and we want you to use those buttock muscles. Shorten the muscles. You want to feel with your hand, your buttock muscles. I should have had you palpate your buttock to see how tight those muscles were. And they should be a little bouncy to the touch. Muscles should feel a little bit like a 5-minute egg, boiled egg. They need to be firm, but not too firm. So we're doing that 3 times. Let's do it also in another way. We'll do it in a way that actually engages the muscle more. Okay, Kanan, what are you not able to understand?
That was regarding the movement wherein the pelvic has to go up. I couldn't understand those exercises.
Okay.
So I didn't try that. I just left that. I was doing the next one, which Ramesh sir is doing.
Fine. Do you kind of understand now?
This I'm able to understand.
Yes, you're able to, okay. All righty. Anyway, and Roddy, did you see what you needed? You couldn't see his feet, but which one was that for?
That was for the psoas while on the chair. Then later on, I demonstrated adjusting the camera.
Yeah, Okay, good. So you took care of that?
Yeah.
Great. All righty. Okay, so right now we are using, why don't you turn your back on us so we can see the muscles at the back. So here's what he's looking like in the back. In the muscles of his buttock that come from the sacrum over to something called the greater trochanter, which is the side of your hip. It's what you think of as your hip bone, but it isn't. Your hip is buried deep in, but the most prominent bony area on the side of your leg is called the greater trochanter, and a lot of muscles attach there. And these muscles attach there, and when they shorten, they pick your leg up. They roll, if you're standing, they take your leg out to the side. So take it up again. So his brain is sent a volley of impulses down to the end of his spinal cord, actually, to cause those muscle fibers to shorten. And then he's decreasing the output to them so they can lengthen and his knee can come down again. So as he does that about three times, his buttock area will get bouncier to the touch. That's very important. The most superficial muscle there is your gluteus maximus. It's very important for helping you stand up. Oddly enough, recently I was helping a man who was a stroke rehabilitation person, and he was having trouble standing up. And he stood up one time, and I was able to touch the back of his pelvis, and I could feel his buttock muscles were very tight, extremely tight. And so you cannot stand up very well if that muscle can't help you stand up, because it has to contract and add to you being able to stand up. Oddly enough, you wouldn't imagine that. So Ramesh, did we
Yeah, one
see?
second. Before you
Okay.
proceed, I wanted to share that I had a problem of a tingling sensation down my left foot. And I discussed it with Eleanor, and she made me do this exercise we just now saw. And the tingling sensation completely disappeared in about 4 or 5 days' time. So that's a kind of result that you get when you do these practices. So since I had just gone through it, I just thought I'd share that.
Thank you for sharing that. So with
I
pressing on
have
the
another
side-
question.
Yeah, please. Rama.
Is it a good idea to, kind of touch that muscle and feel it while you're doing the thing, or only before and
Sure.
after?
Sure, especially when you're first doing it, because you don't know how it works until you feel it happening. You
Okay,
can do
thank
it
you.
every time if you want to, but you don't need to once you know what happens. But it wouldn't hurt if you did it every time so you could feel it tighten and slowly letting go.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Very good. Good suggestion. So let's add to that, Ramesh. So just to say that when the piriformis, which is a muscle that goes from your sacrum to your greater trochanter, when it's tight, it presses on the sciatic nerve, which is exiting from the sacrum and going all the way down your leg. It's named differently at different points. So it's the sciatic nerve higher up, it becomes the tibial nerve, and then it splits, and part of the tibial nerve goes down the back of your leg into your foot, and perineal nerve comes in front for the muscles in front of your lower leg and also to the side. So it's all part of what was the sciatic nerve. So did you do both sides? So we started to do a special thing with it. Do it again, Ramesh, and I'm going to guide you into an even more thorough release of that muscle. So lying on your side, pick your knee up toward the ceiling and bring it down a few inches. Take it up again. Come down a little bit more. Go up. Come down a little more and relax. So you are, I think you're using a special part of the brain called the basal ganglia. It does starts and stops. So as you are doing starts and stops, you're using that part of the brain to also contribute to the change in output to the muscle. Now let's add another one. And that is take your whole bent leg up and slowly bring it back down. Great, and slowly down. So you're lying on your side, your knees are bent, and you're just taking the top bent leg up and slowly coming back down. Yes, Kenan.
Eleanor, now
Yeah.
while doing these exercises that Ramesh sir is showing, there is something that is pulling in my head. I mean, there are some nerves for all of the exercises. So,
Oh, yeah.
am I doing something wrong?
No, you're feeling something really good. You are feeling the fact that you're really using your brain to do it.
I actually feel there are some strings which have been pulled for every exercise.
Yes, and there are strings that are being pulled for every exercise. It is good that you're feeling that.
Okay,
And
thank
that
you.
Yeah, because we are using our brains to do this. And if you're very aware, you might be able to feel it happening. And if you can feel it happening, you can kind of enhance it. But because you're aware of it.
Okay. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
a
Thank you.
wonderful thing. It's really wonderful when you can actually feel your brain. Okay, so we have a question here. I get calf muscles and toe cramps. Can you suggest? So I'm going to give a quick suggestion on that. And this is true for any cramp. So a cramp is caused by either by having a contracted muscle that gets stretched or working a muscle that's already working really hard and you ask it to do something and it goes into a cramp. So the way to stop that quite quickly is to contract the opposite muscle group. And so we're not asking you to stretch that cramping muscle, but just contract the opposite muscle group. So Ramesh, I guess, let's see, maybe you might sit in your chair. So a cramp anywhere, contract the opposite muscle group and the cramping muscle will get turned off. So let's start with, you have a cramp we're going to start with hamstrings. You have a cramp in the back of your thighs. Now, the thing to do to turn that off is to contract the muscles in front. So straighten your leg. Great. And then slowly coming back down. So as you do that, the contracting muscle will inhibit, by an indirect means, will inhibit the other side. So he's now turning off the hamstring cramp that he had about 3 times and it will be turned off. If you happen to be lying on your stomach, like the cat stretch number 3 that we did, all you have to do is straighten your leg and that will begin to turn it off. For terms of the calf, you want to take your foot in the opposite direction. So if you scoot back, Ramesh, so we can see your feet. Okay, so the muscle in back, let's say the back of his legs are cramping. So what you would want to do then is contract the muscles at the front of your legs. So pick your toes up, pick your foot up, and slowly come back down. So if you are sitting in a chair, or you can do it lying down, just pick your foot up and slowly let it come back down. Feel the side of your leg just on the other side. We call it the shin bone. Take your hand down, Ramesh, and feel the muscles on the outside, not on the outside of your leg, of your calf, but just to the side of the center of your lower leg. Coming down. No, in front. Right, what do you call it? The shin bone. It's a bony, it's really, so you put your hand right beside that ridge that's coming down your leg. There are 3 muscles that attach there. You can feel them contract when you pick your foot up and decontract as you come down. Do it slowly and slowly coming down. As you come up, you're contracting those muscles in front. You'll reciprocally inhibit the muscle that's cramping in back. And you need to do it several times to really turn that cramping calf muscle off.
Eleanor, the heels are on the ground, right? Only the front portion.
The heel is on the ground and you're picking up the front of your foot. You are what's called dorsiflexing your foot.
Some people are lifting their foot completely up.
Yeah, don't pick your foot completely up. Just pick the front of your foot up. Now, if it has to do with your toes, is this the back of your toes? Okay, so.
In fact, they can feel when they keep the hand in front.
Yeah.
When they lift the whole leg up, they cannot see the movement here.
Right.
When they take only the front foot up, they can feel the movement very clearly.
Just dorsiflex your foot, therefore contracting the muscles in front, which turns off the muscles behind. Great. So
there's a question in the chat box, Eleanor.
Yeah, but there was also calf muscles and toes.
Oh.
So again, you want to take your toes in the opposite direction from where they're cramping. So if they're cramping by extending, you want to curl them. If they're cramping by curling, you want to extend them, which is sometimes easier said than done. Okay, at the back of your knees, what you want to do, and Ramesh will demonstrate this for you, there's a muscle right behind the knee called the popliteus, and it can sometimes get contracted. So as you're sitting there with your foot on the floor, take your heel out to the side and slowly bring it back to neutral. Yeah, and come right, and repeat that several times, and you will voluntarily contract that muscle and then let it go so that you will stop the contraction that is giving you pain.
Eleanor, I have a question.
Yes.
I get pain. I don't know what this part of the knee is called, but I can sense a pain and swelling here. And then
Yes.
the pain, starts from the back. It's like in the middle of the back,
Yes.
in the spine area, and then it
Okay.
goes down. So
Well, that's most likely the psoas is doing that. But there's another muscle that we might work on together called the tensor fascia lata, which is starting more at the near the hip. So if you'll lie down on your side, and Ramesh, you can demonstrate this for us. So lie down on your side. You can start by bending your knees. And I suggest, if you can, that you try it with him. So you're lying down there. Now straighten your top leg. And it's going to be in line with the rest of your body. Now pick your leg up, roll it inward a little bit. So your toes are going to go toward the floor. To keep your legs straight. And your toes are coming in front toward the floor. Let your leg come down. Let your leg come down. Great. Now roll your leg out and pick it up. Roll the toes toward the ceiling and pick your leg up. Okay, roll it inward and down. Right, down, and now out and up. Roll in and down. So you, as you're rolling in and down, you are contracting a muscle called the tensor fasciae lata, and then you're decontracting it to take it up. And then you can relax your leg. So one of the things you can do, and the thing is there's a band going down the side of your leg. You can take your hand along your leg, Ramesh, down the side of your leg, the very side of your leg, outside of your leg. The iliotibial band is coming from your tensor fasciae lata down towards your knee. So it's right the side of your leg. It sometimes gets very tight. How many of you have experienced the side of your leg getting tight? Raise your hand. Okay. So there are two muscles for whom that band is their tendon. One of those is the tensor fasciae lata we were just working with, and the other is the gluteus maximus. Now someone had her hand up here, but she disappeared. Okay, so now there are two muscles. Okay, Juanita, did you have your hand up? No. Okay, and there's an Anju, if that's how you pronounce your name. Is it Anju?
Yes. I'm having pain in my gluteus maximus, localized pain over there. It's not
Okay.
going towards my legs or the front portion of the leg. But
Yeah,
when I walk, I feel pain over there. Or
yeah,
when I bend backwards, I feel pain. So
Good
what you
point.
suggest for that?
okay. So what you're having probably is the piriformis is pressing on your sciatic nerve, but not enough to take it down your leg. So the first thing that Ramesh did with it, lying on his side and picking his knee up toward the ceiling, is one thing you might want to do. You might want to do the next thing we're going to do. So Ramesh, lie down on your side again. Straighten your top leg. And now roll your leg out and pick it up. Pick it up, great. Roll in and down. Roll it out and pick it up. And roll in and down. So you're using the gluteus maximus. It is the muscle that the other muscle that attaches to the iliotibial band. So the first thing he did, and this really uses it, the side-lying one where you take your knee up toward the ceiling works with it, but not as much as this particular movement does. And so that can be very helpful in decreasing the contraction that's probably pressing on your sciatic nerve, Anju. So give that some.
So, Eleanor, can I do this contraction and relaxation of my hip area while walking, while standing?
You can. You can't do it very well while walking. You can do it very well while walking, but you can do it while standing. So Ramesh, would you stand up? And you can hold on to your chair. I suggest you hold on to the back of your chair. So while you're standing, you can rotate. You're going to stand on one leg. Let's say you stand up and rotate your other leg outward and then going in. So we can't see your feet here. So So turn your leg out.
Somebody's camera is on. Let me just. I'll mute everybody. You unmute and speak. Eleanor.
So adjust your camera so we can see your feet.
You need to unmute, Eleanor.
Okay. So as you're standing, you're going to put your weight on one leg and roll the other one out. Turn the other one out. The whole leg. Roll it. Yeah. So you're doing the same move you were doing lying down, but you happen to be standing up.
Thank you.
So I wouldn't
much.
try to do it while walking, but you can pause and do it if you notice it hurting while you're walking. Just,
Right. Thanks a lot for showing that.
yes, yes. Thanks for asking. Thanks very much for asking. So let's do, there's a very big muscle at our back, which is on our backside. It's the largest of the muscles on our back. And so I'm going to guide Ramesh into it, and then you can also try it. You can do it sitting up. It's possible to do it sitting up. Of course, you can do it in bed. You can do it a little bit standing up, but best is probably lying down. So just to say, when you're doing these by yourself, you are using gravity as your practitioner. Gravity is adding a load to your muscles and then going with you as you come down. When you're working with a practitioner, if you're doing a hands-on version, the practitioner will put his or her hand on part of your body so you can press into the person's hand and then slowly coming back down. So this is for the Latissimus Dorsi muscle. So lying on your back, Ramesh. Great, knees bent. Take your arms up toward the ceiling with straight arms. Now bring your hands together. Unfortunately, we can't see your hands very well where you are. You come a little closer to us or change your camera. Thank you. Great. Okay. All righty. So his hands are up toward the ceiling. Now, with your fingers straight, bring your hands together like in the United States, it would be an old-fashioned diving. So your fingers are overlapping each other. Ramesh, your hands are to the sides. Bring your palms toward your knees. Palms toward your knees. Palms of your hands, no, go up toward the ceiling and have your palms face your knees. Now bring your hands together, overlapping your thumbs. There you go. Now keeping your arms straight, take them toward your knees a little bit and then back over your head toward the right, and your head's going to turn toward the right. And so just going straight back. Bring your arms toward your knees again. This is the contraction of the latissimus. And now you're going to take your arms to the left over your head, and your head turns to make room for your arms. Great. 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 Oh, what a great Latissimus Dorsi you have. Huh? Because it's able to lengthen, and you don't want to pull your arms down toward the floor, but you want your latissimus to be able to let go and take them down to the floor. And as you practice it, you'll be able to do that. Ramesh has done a lot of yoga and a lot of somatics, so he can do this very easily. So the contraction of the latissimus is bringing your arms down toward your knees. The lengthening of the latissimus is when you bring your arms up over your head. So your arms are going toward the floor over your head. And you're going to do that about 3 times, going to each side. Now let your knees go to the side, opposite from your arms. And your knees are going to Your arms are going right, your knees are going left, and then changing. And this gets both ends of the latissimus dorsi. Great. So that is a wonderful exercise. And anytime you cannot bring your arms over your head toward the floor, you know your latissimus dorsi is too tight. And it goes across your back, goes under your arms, twists, and attaches on the front of your arms. As your arms go up to your shoulder, the belly of the muscle comes down toward a tendinous sheath in the lower back in the lumbar area, and that sheath goes all the way down into your sacrum. So it can cause back issues. And you may know it's time to reset your latissimus. You'll also know that if you start to do some of the other exercises we've done, like the side bending exercise, and all of a sudden you feel a little bit of a cramp, you know it's time to reset your latissimus dorsi muscle. So let's work a little bit with our upper back. So if you will either sit in a chair or sit in a cross-legged position, we're going to work with our neck and shoulders and then the lower trapezius. So in a seated position, let's palpate our shoulders first. There's a question here from Roddy. And that is, what muscle is pulling and what is it for? Which muscle are you referring to, Roddy?
The one we did previous.
You talking about
Yes.
the what where your arms are here? Which show me which muscle you're, or the move we were doing for that
One
muscle.
which we had the palms facing the knees and then taking it over the head.
Is that one? What? That's the latissimus dorsi.
The back muscle.
The sometimes referred to in fitness areas as the lats. The lats. I'm developing my lats. Okay, so, and what is it for? It is a very big back muscle. It integrates everything. As in its function, it rolls your arm inward, pulls your arm in towards your side, and extends your arm behind you. So Ramesh, can you stand here and show us that? So stand up and turn to your side to us.
There is a question about how many times we should repeat. Ideally 3, if possible 5.
Yeah, 3. Okay, turn to the side so we can see your arm. And okay, it will roll your arm inward. Roll your arm in, great. It pulls your arm back behind you and it pulls your arm towards your body. It adducts your arm. So those are the 3 things the latissimus dorsi does. So whenever you do any of those moves, the latissimus dorsi has contributed to it. Okay, and if it's tight, you may not be able to lift your arms very well because it wants to pull your arms in towards your body. That's its job. And if it's both sides are tight, it's almost like you have been lassoed Do you know the word lasso? It's what a cowboy uses to rope a calf or a horse. It forms a big circle and it tightens around something. So it's like you've been lassoed. You've got a lasso around your shoulder, holding your arms in towards your sides. Now, probably none of you have a problem with lifting your arms, but in case you do, sometimes it's the Latissimus Dorsi that's holding your arms in towards your sides. So there was another question. How many counts? Well, some of them are 3, some of them are 5. And the thing is, you want to stay with your attention on it. So 3 times slowly is a really good thing to do. When in doubt, do it 3 times slowly. And the slow coming out of the contraction is the most important part. Very good. Okay, so you can sit down again. We're going to work with the neck and shoulders and then go into the upper back.
One more question. Can we do this while sitting also? I mean, or
Absolutely.
in position on a chair or...
Thank you for reminding me that we were saying that. So yes, you can. So you bring your arms together. Just imagine you are lying on your back. And you bring your arms toward your knees and then over your head to the right. And you even can take your knees to the other side. Coming down and coming up. Yep, you can do it sitting. So anytime you need to do it, anytime you notice you're being held, it's time to release your, and so it's not so much coming around as coming straight back. So you're not coming this way, you're coming straight back and up. It's at an angle, straight back and down. Wonderful. Very good. Okay, so we're going to do neck and shoulders. So first of all, palpate your shoulders with flat fingers, touch your shoulder muscles and see, do they feel tight? Anybody have tightness in your shoulders? Right, good. It is the first place where we store stress. That's the first place where we're going to respond to stress. And so with stress accumulating, it's still getting tighter and tighter there as it spreads to elsewhere. So turn your head to the left. Tilt your head back towards your right shoulder. Take your right shoulder up and slowly let your head come forward right where you are. Don't turn back and let your shoulder come down. We are contracting a muscle called the upper trapezius. We're shortening it. That's how we can move our head and our shoulder. And then we're slowly letting your shoulder come down and your head comes to neutral. Don't turn back. Tilting back. And we're resetting the resting level of your upper trapezius. Turn your head now to the right. Tilt back and take your left shoulder up and slowly coming down. You can feel some of the places where it's pulling because those are a little tender because it has been pulling. It's been pulling on its attachments, increasing inflammation in that area. So we're going to do 3 repetitions. And letting your shoulder come down to wherever it goes, whatever the new level might be. Okay, so we're going to work with another shoulder muscle now. Good job. Bring your head back to the middle. This is the most complicated one. But it's really helpful for a muscle that comes from your neck. Twists, goes to your shoulder blade, and it can create, when it's tight, it creates tenderness. It creates kind of a knotted area in your shoulder. And so turn your head to the right tilt to the right, take your right shoulder up towards your ear, tilt your head back a little bit, bring your head forward, back to the center, and your shoulder comes down. So it's in steps. Turn your head to the right, tilt your head to the right, take your right shoulder up, tilt your head back a little bit, bring your head forward, back to the center, your shoulder comes down. So there are two muscles that hold your shoulders up. One of them is the upper trapezius, and the other one is that one called the levator scapula. And you don't need to hold your shoulders up all the time. Your shoulders can rest very nicely on your rib cage. You don't have to hold them up. Arms are very heavy, and trying to hold them up all day is hard work, and you don't need to do that. Okay, now turn your head to the left, tilt to the left, your left shoulder goes up, your head tilts back a little bit, bring your head forward, back to the center, your shoulder slowly comes down. Turn to the left, tilt to the left, left shoulder up, tilt your head back a little bit, come forward, back to the center, shoulder comes down. Now, was that 2 or 3? Ramesh, was that 2 or 3?
3. I just completed 3.
Did you say 2?
3.
3, okay. All righty. So now, for the other muscle of the shoulder, you can have your arm bent, but it needs to be down by your side. Take it out to the side a couple of inches, just a little bit, and that's going to work a muscle up in your shoulder called the supraspinatus, and then let your arm relax. Take your arm out to the side a little bit, and slowly come back in and relax. Now, if you wanted to, you could feel it happening. I don't know that we have time for you to put your hand up to feel it, but you could feel it contracting and letting go. Let's do the other one. Bring your arm out to the side and coming down. Out to the side a little bit. So it only goes out a little bit. So if you're sitting on the floor, you might want to bend your arm so you can take your arm out a little bit and slowly come back in. That muscle is bringing your arm bone up into your shoulder joint so you can lift your arm. But it can get very tight when we're working somewhere like a desk or at the computer or somewhere. So now palpate your shoulder with your flat fingers and see what you find. You might find your muscles being a little bouncier to the touch. You might find, if you had discomfort before, you might find you don't have any pain. You might find that knotted area, any knotted area you had, isn't there anymore and won't be for a while. So let's work with another part of the back. And
I have a question, please.
okay,
Can I ask a question?
please, Roddy, yes.
Okay, so that knotted area has become soft, but I'm feeling like soreness on my collarbone, just below my collarbone in this area.
Oh, okay. Well, that is, yeah, there's a little muscle behind your collarbone called the Subclavius muscle, and it's probably contracted.
Because of the exercise?
No, because it already was contracted, but now you can really feel it. So let me quickly show you something. Put your hand up on your shoulder.
Yeah.
This is a little complicated. So you can put your hand up on your shoulder and you're going to lift your shoulder up, but resist yourself. So try to lift your shoulder up, but don't let you do it. Don't let yourself do it. Take your shoulder up, but stop it. And coming down, up and coming down. and see if that feels better. That feel a little better?
Yeah, it does feel better.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that little muscle that's under your collarbone, its job is to keep your shoulders from lifting up too high. So it contracts to try to hold your shoulders down. And it can get contracted. So when you decrease the coming up, it said, okay, oh boy, I can contract. And it does.
And there is a stress running from here, back of the head,
Yeah.
joint.
So you're going to have to do the upper trapezius exercise again to reset that. So you're going to turn away from it, pick that same shoulder up, let it come back down. And we have things we need to do here. So we're going to move the agenda. Ramesh, do we need to?
We can stop and continue tomorrow, since we have one full hour
You
for
know what?
demonstration.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so are there any last questions we have?
Yeah, we can ask them to share feedback and then questions
Yes, let's do
before we
that.
wind up.
Yes, let's do that. Okay. Okay, yes.
I have a question. This last exercise that we did, wherein we are moving our head and the shoulder going up.
Perfect.
So I somewhere onto this side, when I did on my right side, one whole muscle, it goes like a lightning angle, and that is really stiff. Onto my left side, when I did my right side, that thing came up onto the left trapezius.
Okay, so so when you turned your head to the left, which side?
To the right. And
right.
I pushed this like this.
Okay, you know what, Hanna? You are turning your head too far around. In other words, you're going way back. Come right to that shoulder.
Okay. So I just do it.
So you're tilting your head back. Can you bring your head forward a little bit?
This?
So you're going way back here. Just keep your head on top of your shoulder. Don't. Okay.
This way?
Can you bring your ear toward me a little more? Tilt toward me a little more.
This?
Turn your head. Okay. Now, not that. Turn back where you were just a second ago. Okay. Tilt your head back toward this other shoulder. No, toward the shoulder, because you're tilting. But turn your head to the right. Your head is not turned to the right. Now bring your head forward a little bit. Because you're taking your head way back and you need to, okay, now take your shoulder up. And let your head slowly come forward. Let your head come forward toward the right though.
Like this?
Right. So look at me here.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to turn my head. I'm turning my head back to my shoulder. I'm taking my shoulder up. I'm letting my head come forward. My shoulder comes down. So it's
okay.
Yeah, now take your shoulder up and coming back down. That is better. Does that feel better?
Yes, this is better.
Okay, good. Very good. Okay, right.
Thank you.
Anyway, you're welcome. So let's hear some of the things people noticed during the various things that we did this evening.
Can I say?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I found a lot of relief in the upper portion. And also I could sense the nerve which you told me that we need to monitor, which runs down the psoas. I'm not sure of the word, but that I could sense that difference when I was doing the leg raise, the knee raise and the foot. And especially the last one which we did, we had to put the leg down to get it down, take it up and then raise it. that actually give a lot of relief.
Oh,
And
great.
one major thing since I started Hanna Somatic and I've been doing yoga also is that, now after a very long time, I can sit without a back support, even though there's pain, but it's bearable. I can keep a cushion and support it and still sit for some time without too much of a pain.
That is wonderful. That makes I know it makes such a big difference.
Yes, it looks.
Yeah. Because in all those times.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Yes, Juanita.
So I am an MSc nurse, and a couple of months ago, because of the pandemic, my church requested me to take a class for senior citizens, and I just started 5 months ago, and because I'm into yoga, I was teaching. All I want to tell you is that today I had to leave because I'm committed was 8:30 to 9, but within the first 25 minutes, I knew I would not want to miss this class for anything. So I have requested tomorrow's class at 10 after 10, and they happily, I said, because I'm going to learn and teach you all, So I have 50 and above, right up till 98.
Perfect.
I'm so grateful because you told me about this, and we both decided to bunk, and I didn't have enough time to bunk today, but I made Rama join, and I joined from 8 to 8:25 and then back at 9. But I know I'm not going to miss this tomorrow for anything.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You will be able to share it with so many people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So she also works with cancer patients, and she's impacted about a lakh of patients already during the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
An incredible person. Yes.
Fantastic.
I'm so glad that I was able to bring her here.
Oh,
I'm into natural diet. For me, the jump was really too much. I'm into a natural diet, and teach people how I combated my stage 4 cancer 10 years ago, and I have not taken a single tablet in this last 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Great.
Thank you.
Wow, that's like
So Eleanor, thank you, and thank you, Ramesh.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Ramesh.
Well, double the people that you will be able to help.
Yes.
Whole other population. It's so helpful with people who have been dealing with cancer in one way or another. It's just so helpful in terms of reclaiming your body, helping in the healing, helping in the comfort of your whole body in the first place, and being able to move areas that you have had to, let's say, not move for a while, and recovering the function of everything. It's just so good.
Thank you. That's the aim of me, is that to fall in love with your body all over again.
Yes, and it's, that's a really good time to fall in love with it all over again. And sometimes people fall in love with it for the first time because they already weren't in love with it.
Yes.
And so it's wonderful that way.
Thank you.
Other things people notice that they want to share. Ramesh? Oh, yes.
my neck feels okay now. That's not gone.
Radhi, yes? What?
I said, now my neck feels okay. Even the pain here I was feeling at the collarbone has gone, and my knot seems to have dissolved.
Oh, wow.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Chandani?
Yeah, it was a wonderful session. I'm really thankful to both of you, the whole team. Look, you can guide us for the future, like do you conduct more sessions or a proper course or something? I am interested in it.
Very good.
Great.
In fact, Ramani, please.
Yeah, so this was my first session. Excellent, wonderful. especially the one for the stress debuster seem to work wonders straight away. I'm going to do a lot of them actually, for sure. And of course, I will join some more the session beyond tomorrow as well for my low back pain. I'm sure I will get rid of that very soon. Thank you.
One of the nice things is to get rid of it and to be able to take care of it in case it happens again. Yes, you picked something up and your back was sort of challenged, and you'll know how to undo it right away. But I want to know what I couldn't quite hear what exercise we did in which your discomfort went away straight away. Which one was that?
For me, for the back pain, I think the one, I don't know what are the postures, but I have just noted down some of them, and I have to do a little bit more than one or two sessions to see if I see some improvement.
But you were saying there was a move that you did in which something went away right away.
Yeah, that is the stress debuster, the
shoulder.
The shoulders.
Yeah, both sides.
Great.
Neck, yeah.
Great. Good.
Last one, Arpita.
So Ramesh sir and Eleanor both are very well coordinated at this session and very depthful. The Eleanor, you were explaining the minute muscles contractions and each exercise so well. It's very, very helpful for us. Thank you. Yes, thank you. And the picture who has Ramesh sir was showing us is so clear, clearing the thoughts, and it's really nice, very nice. Thanks and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll bring today's session to a close. Karen will take it tomorrow.
Sure, no worries. Sure.
And for tomorrow, the first half will be, Eleanor will lead us once again with practices for the back pain. Some will be repetition of today. Some will be new practices that she will introduce. In the second half, we have two volunteers. One is Kala Ranganathan and the second one is Rama. So Eleanor will actually do an online assessment and guide them through their specific problem. That is to give you a feel of how an Hanna Somatics practitioner actually deals with a client's problem when they are explained to the practitioner. So that's a live demonstration that we will do. The second 1 hour, half an hour, there are two volunteers. And then last 15 minutes, we will again give you opportunities for your feedbacks, etc. So now we'll bring today's session to a close with a heartfelt thanks to Eleanor for continuously sharing with all of us. And now please sit in a meditative position, spine straight, as we bring the session to a close. We'll chant Om 3 times. Take a deep breath. Om. Shanti mantras. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Mritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Arigi Om. You can rub your hands and then keep them on your eyes. Hari Om Tat Sat. So see you all tomorrow. See you, Eleanor, tomorrow. Thank you very much for a wonderful session and keep doing it more and more for us.
I will. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.